Here's another hot button topic that's out there, and one it's really not adding up, guys. Okay, this whole Paul Pelosi attack, which thankfully it sounds like he's making a decent recovery, which is, of course, it shouldn't be glossed over. Like, this sucks, okay? But so does he. And the story doesn't really add up at all whatsoever. It's like, okay, for those of you who have, I don't know, maybe been living under the rock, it's one of the hottest stories that have been out there for the longest time. And it's not just because of the content that's out there, because, oh boy. But the moment that you ask just a cursory amount of questions, just some simple ones like, okay, how did somebody break into a house in Billionaire's Bubble on Billionaire's Row, right, in San Francisco? How did somebody get access to the Speaker of the House's spouse, okay, without any of the security noticing, okay, with a 911 being placed, or call being placed from inside the house with a relative level of calm associated with it? Why was one of the intruders or the only intruder there in his underwear, wielding a hammer with nothing gone wrong until the police showed up, and conflicting reports that were out there saying that a third person opened up the door? Like, a lot of this stuff doesn't really add up. So it's like, okay, cool, we'll just wait for the tape to show up on this one. Oh wait, none of the security cameras were rolling? Wonderful, fantastic. Definitely got to be one of those ultra MAGA sycophants that are out there. One of those maggots, one of those goddamn trumpets that you see out there getting radicalized on social media. Oh wait, it's kind of a hippie that was there illegally from Canada. Oh, okay, great. Yeah. Oh, and you're also saying that the security cameras, yeah, they weren't rolling or anything like that. Oh, and that the break-in that happened has a broken plane of, a broken pane of glass, but all the glass is on the outside, indicating that the break of the glass happened from the inside out, as opposed to how normally people break into a house from the outside in. Yeah, sorry you got attacked, Paul, but if you want the story to resonate with anybody, you're gonna have to tell the truth. Cameras at Pelosi's home weren't monitored when the attack occurred, says the U.S. Capitol Police. U.S. Capitol Police, huh? Oh, the Speaker of the House has control over the U.S. Capitol Police, huh? Funny how there was no mention of that during those House meetings on January 6th. Anyways, the U.S. Capitol Police confirmed November 2nd that the monitor's cameras at the house of the U.S. Speaker, House Speaker, sorry, Nancy Pelosi. It's a Pelosi pad, one of many, okay? The same one, they got a suspicious amount of graffiti on it. The same community that has armed guards right at the gates. The same community that has armed security guards around every nook and cranny. Yeah, interesting. So there was a one crazy man in his underwear who broke in simply with a hammer. Okay. Cameras were not actively monitored unless Nancy Pelosi is at home. The United States Capitol Police said, okay, cool. So what, she just sits down with her favorite box of wine and stares at the cameras? Is she the only person allowed into the camera facility? Wouldn't you think that you normally have a security guard there for that? Just wondering. Okay, the Speaker was in Washington on Friday with her protective detail. Funny, but then you wouldn't afford that same protective detail to the spouse? I don't think that's how it works, but I'm willing to take a mulligan on this. Personnel at the USCP's command center did not notice anything was amiss at the Pelosi residence until they noticed police activity at the home. Interesting. Okay, so somebody was at least paying a little bit amount of attention towards this, but they didn't notice, okay, somebody breaking into the house, anything, just Paul and a mostly naked man, and just noticed that and didn't think anything different about that. Just thought that it was normal daily activity. Okay, cool. Intruder, you're saying? Intruder. Okay, definitely not the friend that you referred to him as on that 911 phone call. Anyways, authorities say David DePape, 42, broke into, but yet no alarms, no nothing. Okay, cool. Into the San Francisco home with the intention of kidnapping Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, sure. because he's the only one who can love Paul, not like Nancy, no. When he learned she wasn't there, he attacked Paul Pelosi with a hammer, according to San Francisco Police Department. Yeah, didn't attack him with a hammer until the police showed up. Interesting. He was probably attacking him with a hammer beforehand, to be completely fair, but yeah, not the one that caused the skull fracture. Paul Pelosi was able to call 911. Okay, before the attack, and officers rushed to the home within minutes. Yes. Officers witnessed the attack after the person opened the door. Yeah, but then still managed to get back into a scuffle with Paul. Interesting. Okay. Officers witnessed the attack after a person opened the door, according to charging documents. But there wasn't another person there. So, who opened it? Anyways, San Francisco officials declined to confirm that detail, though they had said no other person, including security personnel, was in the home at the time. And it's been confirmed multiple times over, previously stated, especially specifically with that graffiti incident back in the summer of 2020, that there are security guards that are there, that there are multiple cameras in every facet of the residence. So, come on now. USCP said it has launched an internal security review and will be gathering input and questions from members of Congress. Yeah, we just want you to be scared about this, and hopefully that'll make you just a little bit more likely to pull down that D lever when you hop into that midterm booth. That would be great. Okay, thanks. I guess probably Nancy's poll ratings are probably sagging a little bit, just like her titties. But what about the neighbors? Okay, did they notice anything goofy about that situation? Because again, if there was a break-in in a normally peaceful gated community right next to the Speaker of the House, for God's sakes, okay, you would have noticed something, you would have seen something. Otherwise, you would have heard about this story and, you know, maybe just backtrack. With hindsight being 2020, did you notice anything off about this scenario? Neighbors of accused Paul Pelosi attacker David DePape speaks out. All right. More neighbors have accused Paul Pelosi assailant David DePape, described him as quiet and unassuming. I talked about this beforehand when all of this stuff broke. Folks over here on Rumble probably figured this stuff out, but if I'm reposting all of this stuff in a timely fashion, you would have got this one packaged in. I don't know how everything's going to shake out. But anyways, this guy's he's got a sketchy past. He may or may not have been homeless. He might have been living in a van outside of a house that was referred to as a hippie commune. Far right-wing extremist, right? Ann Polt, 51, who lives behind Pape's California home, told the Daily Mail that he never really said that much. Just hello, that's sort of a thing, so I don't really know him. He'd be out there in the garden feeding his birds. Weirdo. Malcolm Lubliner is a really kind and let him live in the garage. And he got him to work helping the neighbors with jobs. I think he helped one guy with his deck. Funny, because he was also helping Paul Pelosi with something that sounds like deck. What he did came as a real shock. DePape was reportedly living inside a garage in Richmond, California, before he allegedly broke into the home and he shared, with Nancy Pelosi, their husband and wife, of course, with a combined age of 160 years old between the two of them. He faces a slew of charges in connections with the incident, in which he allegedly hit Paul Pelosi with a hammer and fractured his skull. Yeah, he had to get it again. Like, there's severity to this situation, but the story's a little bit shaky. Kind of like Paul after all this stuff. There's nothing that stood out about him, and he never really said anything that seemed odd. The neighbor recalled. This is another neighbor, that they were talking to. I didn't want to be named. They were all pretty left politically on this street and never said anything right-wing. Yeah, right-wing extremists, because that was the other narrative that was around there. All of that divisive talk that's happening from the Republicans. Can anybody point to anything specifically? All right, you're going to go back to January 6th, and it just took them so long to plan this all out, okay? You needed to figure out where Nancy Pelosi was living, and then, try to kidnap her that way. But with all of that extensive planning from the most radical speech that you hear from Republicans, so he would have known the schedule of Nancy Pelosi. That's why he was shocked when he turned up there, just to have her in a well-publicized session in Washington, D.C. Oh, okay, cool. So none of this shit makes sense, even if you try to make it make sense. I was so surprised when this happened. I guess I should have Googled him. Yeah, you know what it probably would have turned up? Nothing. DePape was held without bail during his arraignment on Tuesday in the San Francisco Superior Court. He is accused of breaking into Pelosi's home at 2 a.m. before making his way to Paul Pelosi's bedroom and demanding to speak with his wife, according to court documents. Oh, yeah? According to the documents, DePape told investigators that he was on a suicide mission because of the lies that are coming out of Washington, D.C. officials. Then said he wanted to break the House Speaker's kneecaps. Okay. Well, there were knees involved in the skirmish, of course, but let's just say they weren't getting broken. Something else was. The documents stated that DePape told investigators that by breaking Nancy Pelosi's kneecaps, she would then have to be wheeled into Congress, which would show other members of Congress that there were consequences to actions. Oh my God. Like, I understand, okay, if this dude's legitimately crazy and this was the actual reason behind all this stuff, that would make sense coming out of a crazy person's mind. But then you also take a look at the rest of his background, how he was shacking up with a nudist who wanted to, what's the nicest way to put this? Fuck a 14-year-old boy. Yeah, no, that's about the best way to put it, because that's exactly what it was, okay? Professing her love for him. Like, unbelievable. Tell me you're unimpressive as a man without having to tell me you're unimpressive as a man with the girl that you're allegedly seeing. Lusting after a 14-year-old boy. Hoo-wee. After DePape confronted Paul Pelosi in his bedroom, Pelosi tried to make it to the elevator in the home to reach the phone. A home with an elevator not having armed security at it. Okay. But DePape blocked the way. Jenkins said, Who the fuck is Jenkins? One of the investigators. Police were dispatched to the home in the upscale Pacific Heights neighborhood around 2:20 Friday. Yeah, he's currently being held. He's pleaded not guilty. I think he's up on a dozen charges, but for those of you who need the refresher course, why not just go through it? I've made reference to it, so, might as well back up some of my claims if y'all don't believe me. Hey, man, we got it in the written text. Oksane Gypsy Taub, a nudist activist who's currently incarcerated in the California Institution for Women after being convicted on kidnapping charges in 2021, told an ABC affiliate station that DePape had mental health issues. Yeah, no shit. Hello, this is Gypsy Taub. I am ex-life partner of David DePape and the mother of his children. Great. He is mentally ill. Yeah, he was dumping loads into a chick that's unironically assumed the moniker of Gypsy. We could tell he has been mentally ill for a long time. Taub, who noted that the pair had 2 sons before they split 7 years ago. This guy's illegally in the United States, and he's been there and fathered children after they've been separated for 7 years. I don't think he's the only one that's mentally ill. At one point, disappeared for about a year. When he resurfaced, Taub said he believed he was Jesus. Independent journalist Michael Schellenberger, we talked about him extensively, wrote around the same time that he went to the alleged former home of DePape in Berkeley, a city located near San Francisco, that had long been a hotbed of progressive activism. Yeah, Berkeley, the same place that got so outraged by anybody who is even, right of center, and burned down one of their speaking engagements. Yes. But it might be a little bit uncharitable to Milo Yiannopoulos to say that he's a little right of center. But regardless, you get it. Whenever right-wing ideology infiltrates Berkeley, they don't exactly respond to it kindly or progressively with any sort of unity and caring. Because remember, that's the party of compassion. Compassion and a proclivity for arson. That's their version of a warm reception. Ba-dum, tss. Neighbors told him that people come and go from the house in vehicles, and neighbors say, in part to partake in the use of potent psychedelic drugs. Ibagome, I don't fucking do drugs. I don't know what the shit that is. It's probably some ayahuasca fucking knockoff. What I know about the family is that they are very radical activists. Right-wing extremism breaks into the speaker's house. Okay. A neighbor told him they seem very left. They're all about Black Lives Matter movement, gay pride. They're all really detached from reality. This dude's fucking based as fuck, okay? They're all about supporting everything, and these dudes are fucking whack jobs, okay? They're very detached from reality. Kind of lines up with his idea that he is Jesus Christ incarnate. They've called the cops on several of the neighbors, including us, claiming that we are plotting against them. It's really weird to see that they're willing to be so aggressive towards somebody else who is also a lefty. Somebody else who is also a lefty. So is it about time that we give up? Because it looks like, yeah, this is, it might be a reprint from the Associated Press, but even still, okay, if I hear any more talk about this being a right-wing extremist breaking into the speaker's house in order to enact political violence, I'm going to need a fact check on that shit, okay? Because, again, you take a look at all of the stories in totality, it just kind of looks like a lover's quarrel gone wrong, but who knows if we're ever going to get to the bottom of this? Well, you know, at least no Pape probably got to the bottom of a Pelosi. But we're never going to see the footage because the cameras weren't manned at that time. Funny, the last time the cameras weren't manned and a certain high-profile Democrat was involved, hey, it ended up with somebody... Whew, I think you know where I'm going with that one. And because YouTube is such a wonderful place, I just can't make the obvious Epstein joke. But with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.